Morning everybody, it's the 26th of September, a Thursday, so a little bit of a treat today. There's a match at Acorn. It's the Ace of Acorn practice match for the final. The final's this Saturday, 2 days away, the 28th. So we're here today with 23 other hopefuls, so the matches have gone down from 28 to 24, which is what the final is. We've actually got into the final through sort of fastest loser, if you like, or an average of our 10 matches apparently, points wise, gave us a low aggregate which got us through to the final. So we've been saving our draws, obviously, haven't we, to the final. We don't even want a great one today. We want one which we can catch a few fish on, work a few things out. Weather's really changed, hasn't it, this week? It's 13 degrees on the way down here, and we've had a lot of rain this week, so I'm expecting to see the lake very full, probably a little bit clearer, unless it's gone sort of that horrible muddy colour from the banks, where we've had rain washing. It'll have gone one way or the other. So it's going to be difficult. I think anything around £100 plus is going to be good. Come the final on the Saturday, I mean, I'll have a chat with you before we fish it anyway, but come the final, it's £1,000 for the winner. It's quite top heavy, but I think that's quite nice sometimes, isn't it? There's 24 of us all sort of vying for £1,000. Then I think it's 350 for second, and that's it. It's the top two, but there is 4 sections, and the sections are £150 a piece for 6 peg sections, and they're by default as well. So you could have first and second in your section, come third out of 6 and still pick up £150 technically. So certainly worth getting your head down for. So it'll be nice and competitive as well, and it's all the best anglers that's been coming down here, isn't it, really? So it's going to be very difficult to win. Today being a practice match, most of those that are in the final will be here today, so it'll be a good test today. So we're just going to go in the bridge as per usual, have a bit of breakfast. I'll see you on the bank in a bit. So we're off. We missed the whistle actually because of the wind, and the bank going down through the middle now there on the island sort of stops a little bit of sound coming through. So, but we've all started now, and we've gone across with the standard start: 4mm hard pellet over 4mm, cab potted, not too many, 10-12 pellets. Just seeing if we get any reaction. So we cut a little bit of time out there, as you've seen, and this took us sort of 3-4 minutes. Then finally we get a bite. And first fish of the match, so we do the usual. We take our time with the first fish, don't we? It's a mindset thing, isn't it? You don't want to lose the first fish because it it just doesn't settle you really. And you could tangle your rig or anything if you start pulling and going silly. So we just take our time, want to make sure that first fish. And we are one of the first ones to catch one, even though it took us sort of 3-4 minutes. Everybody else around me has started short or even down the edges looking for that early fish. But with the amount of rain we've had, I've chose to go across. Now, I don't doubt one or two people will catch one or two fish short, but they're not going to maintain. And I just think that early fish short isn't really going to help in the grand scheme of things because they've not fished or primed across. So my plan at the start was, once I sort of seen the conditions and that, I just thought, well, I'm going to go across and I'm going to try and draw fish, those stockies in front of me, because I might get 20 minutes, half an hour of doing this before anybody else is going across. In fact, Paul to my left is set up a feeder. He hasn't even set up a long pole. So, and I think we've had too much rain for that feeder, although I've set it up. We'll see. But so nice and steady shipping out, never a rush, just good fundamentals, just nice and steady. You don't want to be, those pellets don't want to be springing out of that cab pot where you don't want them. You want to be getting across and putting them in where you do want them. So nice and steady wins the day. A nice little bite there, 4mm pellet. A nice soft elastic as well for a cross. I mean, I've advocated this before, but I use white hydro, but you can use whatever you're comfortable with. I tend to try and stick to the same kit because I think you get used to the limitations of that kit. But white hydro across, size 20 hook, and just 0.12 now we've gone down to hook length, but a proper 0.12. We actually use Comb Extreme. I find that mics up correctly and it's a nice line. 4-inch hook length, and it's a 0.2 float, and all the shot is above the hook length. But I have cut this float down, to be honest. It's carbon. I want carbon across. I don't want metal or steel or wire, whatever you want to call it, because if it goes under with a liner, it takes too long to come up. I want something that's buoyant, that can withstand a bit of pressure as well. I'm not going to bend. So again, not trying to be fast shipping out, just trying to be as smooth as I can. There's no prizes for the fastest. And then back to the float, what I also do is I cut down the bristle, the length of the bristle, believe it or not. That's a 1.7mm bristle. So we've come down from our 2mm from the summer sort of thing. It's a 1.7. I cut it down. It's a hollow bristle, but I cut it down, put a bit of super glue in the end so it can't fill with water. And I paint it now this time of year because we're just getting those low light levels now. And I just find that sort of Sensus Glow Fluoro orange paint is perfect. I give it a couple of coats. I just think you can see it in any light, whereas those hollows are fantastic when you've got the sun out. When the sun isn't out, they're extremely difficult to see, as is any colour. And I just find those couple of coats of paint just allow me to see it in any light. Another nice little stocky. All going well. Not fast, but it's steady Eddie. That's lovely fishing this time of year, and I love it. I love it when this is changing in the seasons. You just feel that cooler weather coming in now. So what we've done when we went across originally is we've got a cab pot in line, and just a metre to the right of there or so, we've got a little pinging line. The pinging line I'm fishing a very light float on again. It's actually a 0.1. It's got about 3/13 spread down between the line, between the line of the under the float, between that and the hook length. Same hook length and that, but I just spread it and I just lie it out in that water above where the 4mm have been pinged. With a 4mm in the band as well, and I think they watch it, they see it down. Sometimes that line can be brilliant. And this little stocky's a proper little scrapper, isn't he? So we got a couple of lines, as I say, going on. We're just pinging a little bit of pellet on that ping line. Just 5 or 6 pellets. We're not going crazy. As long as we're in the vicinity, I'm not worried about getting it all really tight or anything. That's not what that pinging line's about. That pinging line is going to rest my cab potting line when I want it to. And I'm just going to lie that really lightly strung rig in. Actually, I take it back. That's closer to being a carp than a stocky, that one, isn't it? Yeah, he's £4. We've got a little bit of wind as well today, which is making it a little bit awkward, but it isn't too bad. So we cab potted a few pellets in then on our cab potting line, and then we got our pinging rig in that we're just lying in. So we're just letting it swing round and settle. Apologies for the quality of the picture. We are looking at getting a better camera soon. And there we go. One had it, didn't he? And our plan is to fish between these two lines and just keep sort of scratching away at it and just steadily build away. These first 3 or 4 hours in these matches down here can be difficult. And if you can keep putting a little something in the net until those last couple of hours, then, you take the pressure off yourself for later, really. And definitely slightly bigger fish on that ping line as well. Oh, that's a carp, isn't it? That's not a stocky. Normally is, actually. They normally are a bit bigger on that ping line. He's about £6, that one. It's not been fast, has it? But it's been very steady, which is okay. That's all we want early. And the conditions now are quite pleasant. It just keeps changing today. 1 minute it sort of goes cloudy and the temperature drops like mad, and I'm reaching for my jacket. Next minute the sun's out, and I'm wanting to take some layers off. The fishing's good, isn't it? That's the main thing. And they're a nice fat little stocky. Really put on some weight, these fish now. So it's fading across a little bit now. So we're pinging a few pellets and just lolling that really light rig in on top of the pellets that we're loose feeding. Sometimes when that line goes well, that's very good, but it's not really happening. So now we're back, giving it a rest across, which it needs. So we're back on the top kit, just trying to see. We've just been dripping 6, 8, 10 maggots in there, some are nothing really, and we've hooked what feels like a half decent perch. It's a bit weird, really. I always seem to catch a perch down here, but never more than one. And it's that sort of time of the match now where it's just a little bit unsettled. Your cross is dying, and that can happen in the first half after sort of half an hour, 2 hours. As it is today, it's after like 2.5 hours, which has been good. So that's really good. But it happens, and it's too early for those fish to come close, those carp to start feeding down the margins on them short lines and things. So you've got to try a few things, try and keep ticking over nice. So we've just flipped the feeder out. So we've put the feeder out there 3 times. We didn't get a bite on it. But what we did do is put some micros in, haven't we? So we're giving it a rest back on that short line, which hasn't happened, then gone back across, and we've managed to nab one. So the feeder's a good delivery system, isn't it? It can put some micros across there. If you're not catching, put a few micros in rather than you cab potting them in, which can be a bit dodgy at the moment with it being so full of water and so deep over there. You can foul hook fish in that. So as you probably noticed, we have to ship down the pole twice as well. We've got a fence behind us. So just that little short number 4 is not too bad, this peg, to be honest. Quite a short reach, this one, 14.5 meters. So it's nice. Another little fat one. Another one over those micros. And the wind's completely dropped now, hasn't it? So it's made it really easy, but across is sort of gone. And I don't think that's due to the wind. I just think the amount of time the amount of time we sort of fished over there. Paul on my left's asking me how I'm managing to catch a cross. He's actually chucked a feeder across a few times today, and he's only caught one fish. But he's a good angler, Paul. So what I've been doing is keeping my eye on him because he's fishing short quite a lot. He's catching an odd fish, but nothing. He's not catching that consistently. So I'm keeping my eye on him. As soon as I start thinking his catch rate goes up, that'll tell us to look at feeding our short lines. You want to use people around you, especially the better anglers. Keep your eye on them, see what they're up to. You don't necessarily mean you've got to follow them, but things like that will indicate to me that those fish are now willing to feed. They're coming in close. They're looking for it. And now there's a few dark clouds coming in, and they're off to our left, and we just might get the weather they promised us now. Actually, hopefully not. So that's a skimmer across now. So that's a sure sign that it's certainly, well, it's gone, hasn't it? So we didn't get anything else across. So I fed that little top kit line a little bit heavier now. Put a little bit of micro in there and a bit of maggot. And I'm feeding my top kit short 4 and 4 foot of water as well. And I'm going to sort of look between those two lines now. Just try and keep ticking over, put something in the net. If we're going to catch silvers, we just sort of try and do it shorter. There's always a chance of the carp. I'm just trickling a few maggots in, not too many. I'm not committing to anything too much bait wise, because one, I don't want my maggots to run out, and two, you can kill the peg if you start feeding it too much too early. I'm just looking to get some bites at the moment. Just having a bit of a dodgy hour in the match. Like I say, just again, just steady, really, just be steady. Don't go thinking you're doing anything wrong just because the fish aren't necessarily feeding at the moment. That's a nice tench. He's a bit skinny, but he's a nice tench. All add to the weight, don't they? It's £3, isn't it? You just can't ignore these sort of fish, in these quiet moments. They make a difference. How many times do we, win or frame in a match and beat somebody by just a couple of ounces? Finally, what feels like a carp. Yeah, and you've seen the amount of maggots I chucked in on top of that. Barely anything. We're not committing to anything too much short yet. He's suddenly gone off this one, hasn't he? I'm not fishing particularly heavy on this line. It's 014 mine, so I can give it. So grey hydro 014, size 18 hook. That line's always worth at least one carp, hopefully more, but always worth one. I find it's a nice in between line, isn't it? It's not in that deep maggot line, it's not in the edge, it's just in between on the shelf. If you can find a place that isn't too, the gradient of the shelf isn't too bad, too steep. So I think we've had about, with this fish, should we land it, I think we got about £80, which is a steady start. Just want those fish to come closer now and start catching short. £80 good. Sometimes down here I've gone into the last couple of hours of a match with like 20, £25. There's a few around me today doing exactly that. So we've had a really good start. So back across, but there's no bite. And so we'll probably bin this now.
So we fed half a cup of ground bait, a little bit of micro, a little bit of dead maggot in it, down to that left hand edge. Um, Top kit plus short four. Um, but to the right, we've only put in like a cab pot. To the left, I fed a little bit heavier towards Paul 'cause I like to feed both lines a little bit differently, and you pick up very quickly whether they want quite a bit of ground bait or not very much, or whether they want it at all, of course. But a cab pot never hurts. If you don't catch putting in a cab pot of ground bait, you can change that line, can't you? You can change it to dead maggots, bit of micro, whatever. So back down that right hand edge, so a little cab pot of ground bait. We've got 5 dead red maggots on. Quite a nice big positive looking hook bait. And the kit we're using down the edge is just our sort of standard kit, 0.2 main line. I still advocate that. You know, you're netting and playing a lot of fish. The line wears on the side of the land and net and all sorts. And it wants to be nice and positive. If they come in to feed right down those edges, they come to feed. They don't worry about that main line. So that main line's 0 0.2. Then we've got a 4-inch hook length of 0.16 and a good old fashioned 16 B911. I can't get away from them. I just love them. I'm not saying there isn't better hooks out there. There probably is, and certainly hooks that stay sharper. But I just find it's a nice, strong, but still quite a light hook um, for its size and strength. There's a nice stamped fish, aren't they? They're not really massive ones. I've had sort of double figured ones, but they are certainly sort of six pound, going up to 8 pound, aren't they? Real weight builders. Right from the weight on the bites, mind. Obviously, I'm cutting out time in between, but don't go thinking I'm putting it in there. You know, it's going straight away. It's waiting a few minutes, but it's going under, which is great. Oh, what a day weather-wise. We've been sat in a t-shirt in the sunshine and all sorts, haven't we? And now we finally got the weather they promised us, a little bit of rain now. The temperature's really dropped with the sun as well. But the fishing's been good, hasn't it? And the edges have really been to that right hand side, been fantastic to be honest. We've had to wait a few minutes every time, but just being patient, catching stamp fish, it's been really, really good. No complaints. It's been strange down here this year. I find that either your edge goes well or that sort of deeper line with the maggots goes. But I haven't really had a match where they both sort of go. You catch one or two off of both lines, but one or the other is always predominant, and certainly the edge today, which is lovely. We haven't had many great edge days down here this year. Well, that's a nice fish. That one's a real fatty. He's probably around £10. That's our biggest fish of the day. So I'm a little bit unsure what we got now. Paul's catching well down his edge to my left, but I'm pretty sure from our fishing across earlier we're ahead of him. And most from what I can see down the back straight actually. Had a few sections again there. They're certainly feisty this time of year. Nice thing is now, sort of September, running into October. This is the sort of time of year now the carp fatten up. The winter's coming. They really want the feed now. A lot of places generally now I would be other fisheries I'd be fishing meat. They absolutely love the meat this time of year, but meat's not allowed down here, so I haven't fished it. And because I've been down here so much this year, and there's sort of not been a terrible lot of other fisheries, commercial carp fishing wise, I haven't really fished the meat that much. And I've really missed it, but this winter we'll be fishing down here for the Winter League, and I've also been signed up to Land's End Winter League, which is an individual league. That should be interesting. Over 3 lakes. Kind of Snake Lake-ish fishing again. A lot of F1s, little tench, skimmers, carp, of course. So that'll be quite an interesting league. Not fished there for quite a while. I don't think I've fished there actually since the 3 day mini festival, but not this year, the year before, 2023. So that I'm really looking forward to that. And I've also been asked to help field a team of 5 at Todber Manor. Not been there for 2 or 3 years even. So we're going back to Todber. So looking forward to that. Good team as well. Got England international Mark Harper, Simon Stacey, Tony Gilbert, myself, and I can't remember. Apologies, can't remember the other guy's name. But the other guy's going to fish for silvers. We got a couple of Mark Harper. He's going to fish for silvers. There's 2 lakes with silvers fishing, and then there's Hillview with 2 sections on it, which is carp. And then I think there's a section down on White Post at Topper Manor. So I'll be fishing for the carp. So yeah, be interesting that. Looking forward to it. So no silver fishing this winter. I generally do a bit of a silverfish campaign, but that's not going to happen. So I won't be fishing for silvers now until I go to Stafford Moor for their spring festival. So we'll be a bit rusty by then, but we'll be looking forward to it. So another one down the edge. Brilliant, isn't it? Can't go wrong at the moment. We're having to wait a little bit on them, as I say, but really nice fishing. Just a cab pot of that ground bait. A few dead maggots and micros in it. Not much at all. Nice big standout hook bait. Lots of maggots on the hook. The bites are absolutely tiny, mind it. Some of them are proper little dinks. Hence why you see me striking quite a lot, because you're sort of poised to strike quite fast. It's not a case of lifting like a cross on them pellets. Quite different. And they're pulling well, aren't they? So we're coming up to the end of the match now. I can tell you that Paul on my left ended up with £122. Um, we'll have to stay tuned, and in a minute you'll see what we weigh. Um, but looking forward to the final. I feel like I've got a bit of a game plan in my head what we can do. Um, and I've actually fished the final but not done the video yet, so I'll try and get that out for next week, and you can see how that went.